Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Psyched to be with you. With me, your host, Christopher Leach, part of the Blind Psyche Network, I guess we'll run with that. Episode 12, the final episode in season 2. We've reached an end. We've done 12 of these. It's been a year. That's redonkulous. But we're on for a big one. I'm excited. I'm giddy. We're like extra like primed for this because we accidentally just did a start of it where I didn't press record. So we're ready to go. This is a bucket
It
list
was
guest.
Oscar-winning stuff.
It was amazing, and we're never gonna recapture that greatness, which I'm very
There were
sad
tears.
about. And it's okay. It's my fault. But yeah, bucket list guest. This is gonna be great. I'm very excited. We're already laughing. It's a great start. Everyone can enjoy this moment together. Um, my very special guest, please, if you could, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do.
For anybody who doesn't follow the organization Take This, I am Dr. B, Raffael Boccamazzo, Dr. B for long Italian name reasons, because I actually trained as a prison psychologist, and the guys took one look at my name and just went, no, no. And Dr. B just kind of stuck. And so Take This now in its 10th year. I can't believe that we've been around for 10 years. I have been around officially and unofficially for 8 of those years. We were at the time the very first mental health nonprofit to serve the game community. We're still rocking our mission of destigmatizing mental health matters, educating folks on mental health matters, both in the industry and the community. And I'm also a practicing clinical psychologist in Washington State on the West Coast of the United States. And gosh, what else about me? I was born at a very young age. I was screaming a lot. Hate
Uh,
long walks on the beach. It's sandy.
I've heard like there's a lot of symmetry in life. You're screaming a lot and being passed around hand to hand for no particular
Yeah.
reason as well at the end. Like some symmetry there.
Yeah, no, I was screaming at the world when I came into it. I hope I'm raging when I go out. I don't know.
I mean, when you're talking about video games and mental health, you're basically doing that all the time. Am I right?
Potentially. I mean, sir, I don't want to rage quit.
Oh,
That's for
nice,
sure.
nice. We're using some excellent terminology already. Um, so Dr. B, it's great to have you on the show. I'm very excited. Um, you are known as a person that has quite a lot on. You do a lot. You always seem to be like on a podcast or featuring on a panel or something. This definitely isn't me just trying to capture some of the stuff we said before, but it wasn't recording. Um, how's like tell like you seem to be always doing stuff, so I appreciate making time to join me on the show.
Well, I'm happy to be here. I didn't expect how much my job going into working for Take This was going to entail so much public speaking, but I'm so glad it does because it was either become an actor or become a psychologist. And there's my father once told me something that he regrets telling me, that if you're not ready to starve for your art, you probably shouldn't do it full time. And I decided to go into mental health because I thought I'd make more money in mental health.
That's hey, sorry to get you.
No, I wanted to help people very, very directly, and art does help people in a lot of ways, but I wanted to really get into, metaphorically being in the trenches and helping people very, very directly. And I'm now happy given the nature of my job that, so many public appearances, so many podcasts, my regular stream that I do with Idle Champions of Psychology, that I get to do a little bit of both. And I get to consult with all of these amazing, amazing people across a lot of different dimensions of games. And I had no idea that when I volunteered for Take This 8 years ago, I would be accidentally stumbling into my dream job.
It's a beautiful thing. I've spoken a lot on this show about how much I enjoy Take This as an organization. It is, celebrating its 10th year. I've only been around for like a couple of those, but I never expected to find a place that felt as much like home as I did when I stumbled onto the Take This Discord. Um, And it's genuinely wholesome. It's so heartwarming. It genuinely is.
Oh my God, it's so good. And shout out to all of our mods and our head of community, Dr. Kelly Dunlap, because how wholesome that Discord is now with 1,200 people. That it is so, for anybody who's ever tried to run a Discord of 200 people, it is so hard to do it well. And the fact that we've got over 1,000 and it remains such a wholesome and uplifting environment is a testament to how amazing, Dr. Kelly Dunlap and all of our mods actually are.
And it's worth like it's active though. Like you say, like 1,200.
Oh yeah,
but like that's like active users. Everyone is. There's always people like at the very least reacting to stuff. Like
oh yeah,
and I mean Dr. Kelly Dunlap, previous guest on the show. Check out that episode. I've got to self like promote.
of course.
So, as I said, very excited to have you on the show. This is great. We actually sort of first met through this kind of, online-y, kind of cross-streamy kind of. Obviously, I knew who you were through Take This and through like the Psychology of Games podcast and stuff, which is how I got to Take This.
On yeah, Dr. Jamie Madigan, great guy.
Also, previous guest on the show. Just saying. And so I've been a big fan for a little while. I think like first time I sort of
thank you.
We exchanged words. I think was when you did those little panels at Games for Change online last year, I believe.
Oh yeah, the AMAs.
Yes, the AMAs. They were
the mental health
fun.
AMAs that I did for Games for Change.
There was some really fun energy, some fun questions there. I enjoyed it immensely.
Good, because I had no idea what to go in expecting. I mean, it's the nature of an AMA. It's either going to be amazing or it's going to be crickets. And I'm really glad it was the former and not the latter.
Yeah, right. Like definitely, like you need a bit of energy there. It was good. It was good fun. So yeah, I was saying like off air, like it's great to finally be able to chat like with the audio and the videos at the same time. That's great fun.
Like synced up and all of that.
Yeah, like no buffering delay, no like being modded out like in chat. Like
what a time to be alive.
It's the future, this internet thing. It's not half bad, So you sort of have these sort of just two sort of distinct roles. Let's sort of unpack those a little bit more. Clinical psychologist, what's that for those that don't know? How did you get into that role? You mentioned potentially working in prisons before. What got you there?
A lot of self-flagellation and punishment that is known as grad school.
There is no kink shaming on this podcast, but you have to have a certain thing if you will to do a PhD / grad school qualification. I would know.
Grad school, at least in the United States, is a truly masochistic endeavor because it is so difficult to get through any program. And the idea, especially since I don't come from a wealthy family. My dad was a janitor, and my mom, when I was a small kid, was like managing a fast food restaurant. So the idea, I had to put myself through school and taking out a lot of loans to do that. But I believe in the work. I love getting to help people, and it's really all I ever wanted to do in my life. And the going through that process is an arduous one. But coming out of it, doing thousands of hours of supervised training in the course of grad school, coming out of it with a doctorate, I came out in a time and in a way that the economy was really unstable and really weird. And so I ended up kind of forging my own path in terms of my post-graduation supervisory hours. And as part of that, I ended up at the time volunteering for this organization called Take This in September 2014. And it turned out to be an unexpected opportunity. But on the clinical psychologist side, if you don't know exactly what that means, it means I am trained to both do therapy and psychological testing and a bunch of other stuff. But that's the primary scope of what clinical psychologists generally do. Now, while in the United States, especially, master's level practitioners can often be licensed therapists, because therapy is more of a thing you do with your psychology degrees or degree. we are both the talkers and the testers as clinical psychologists. We tend to be more focused on working with people directly as opposed to research psychologists like my dear friend and colleague, who I think has also been on the show, Dr. Rachel Cowart.
Yep.
Yeah. But you're just collecting the whole Take This crew, aren't you?
I am like, I have like a couple.
But but yeah, Dr. Cowart is brilliant and does amazing things with research. She doesn't directly work with people. Clinical psychologists tend to work directly with people. Although these days more of my job is spent in consultation and education with groups and organizations. But I still have a part-time private practice that I maintain in Washington State.
So, if you'll pardon me drawing the parallel here, but between the podcasting and public speaking and the part-time private practice, part of my brain is going, oh, a bit like Frasier, like.
And it's funny, the parallels don't end there. So I'm born and raised in Seattle. I still live here. I love it here. My dad was during Vietnam an MP, military police. So my dad was technically a kind of cop. Uh
Wait, hold on. It's all coming together. What?
My dad is also he's unfortunately, due to a lot of injuries in various places, he's also on disability. So
Does he have a little dog? Like, that's the only
no,
thing.
he used to two dogs. One was a labradoodle and the other one was a little schnauzer poodle mix that was not dissimilar to Eddie in terms of temperament.
I made that as just like a really off the cuff joke, and now it's just become a thing. That is amazing.
Now, but here's the deal. Here's the deal, and I like to think, because it's funny, if you look at old episodes of Frasier, because I mean they're technically all old. One, not all the humor has lived up to time. There's a lot of transphobic humor in especially the later seasons of that show. But two, Frasier's kind of a jerk.
Yep.
And the only reason that show works is because he's got character foils around him to kind of bring him back down to earth. Niles especially, who is just so ethical.
You are right in that, like, there are some jokes that don't land. There's a lot it does right. I think.
No.
I've watched it like a lot. But like every show hasn't aged well. Really, there's definitely problems with a lot.
Some better than others, but
but that's good. That means we've made some sort of progress, I
mm-hmm.
guess. But yeah, I do think it's great with the foils and the things, and in a weird way, I think it does what all good comedy should do. In that, if you'll pardon the terminology, it punches up. Like, the whole point is that he's a pretentious, pompous sort of like middle classman, like, and that's the joke, and I think that's the way comedy should be.
Given that he has a 3-bedroom condo where he says he has it, he ain't middle class.
Okay, well, upper class, yeah.
A 3-bedroom condo where he tells people he lives would be about a $3 million home.
Wow, that is. Mm-hmm. Was there that much money in radio? Who knows?
Apparently.
Okay, so that is interesting. That was a good off the cuff joke on my part. Good hosting. So that's clinical psychology. Then that's good. Private practice sounds interesting. People are always interesting. Take this then. You took us back. You volunteered, and that you walked into your dream job. Let's unpack that. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So take this. One of the things we're probably best known for is our AFK rooms, and they were, at the time that they were created and executed in April 2014, the very first of their kind supportive mental health spaces at major gaming conventions. And it's not just a quiet room. These are supportive spaces where we have trained mental health professionals there, not to therapize you, because that is so illegal and so unethical for a variety of reasons, but to offer just supportive listening and also generalized mental health resources. And the reason we use licensed mental health professionals to at least run the room and have one on shift is because their licenses depend on them knowing the difference between being supportive listeners versus therapizing people, and they could lose their license if they, cross into that second one. And so the AFK room began in 2014 at PAX East, but then they brought it to PAX West, then known as PAX Prime, in September of 2014. And a friend of mine who's a psychologist in the Seattle area was tapped to be the coordinator for the AFK, the first AFK room in Seattle. And she called me up and she said, "Hey, I'm running this really cool thing. It's a mental health room at PAX, and it is run by a new mental health nonprofit, relatively new mental health nonprofit that serves gamers exclusively. Would you be interested in volunteering?" And I was like, "How many shifts do you want?" "Every day, you got it." And I volunteered all 4 days of PAX West. And then 2015 rolls around. She's the coordinator again. I say the same thing. "I want a shift a day. Sign me up." I loved it so much, and apparently I made a good enough impression on the people running the org at the time that when my predecessor, our first clinical director, who's still on our board, he's one of the people who founded the organization, Dr. Mark Klein. Dr. Mark stepped back because the org was growing, and he was also promoted to the head of a very large community clinic in Massachusetts in the United States. He couldn't dedicate the kind of time necessary. I was very early in my career. I was enthusiastic, and I was kind of trying to figure out where my career was going. So I interviewed in December 2015 for potentially taking over for Dr. Mark, and shocked the hell out of me when they said, "Do you want the job as clinical director?" And there's a quote that's often attributed to Richard Branson. I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm going to butcher it, but it's, "If someone offers me a job and I don't know if I can do it, I say yes and figure it out." And that's basically what I did. I'm like, when am I going to get an opportunity like this again? So nervous as all get out, because I was still pretty fresh out of school. I'd never really managed anything. I was like, "Yeah, let's do this." And now 7 years later, almost, I'm still here, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon because it turned out to be my absolute dream job.
Like goosebumps, absolute goosebumps. That's an amazing story. Like, I love it. I feel like it aligns with a lot of, like, because as you pointed out, we've had a few other Take This folks on the show. It kind of aligns with people kind of just like stumbled on it, stumbled onto Take This, or it was involved in a light way, and then it became like a more beautiful thing over time, which,
Yeah,
it just suits the org so well. Like, it's so nice. So one of
it's
the things. Oh, go on.
Oh no, please, sorry.
I was gonna say, so if we were gonna take that back a step further, then, like, what was it that kind of guided you to psychology at all, right? Because, like, all these journeys kind of started somewhere. What's yours?
um I mean, the truth is, it starts and ends here. I don't want people to grow up the way I grew up.
That's fair.
um I am very public about being autistic, and I'm very public about being ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a excuse me, I had a bronchitis last month, and I'm amazed I'm able to talk as well as I am right now. But there's a truism when it comes to neurodevelopmental diagnoses like ADHD and autism, that there's a certain presentation of both that tends to get recognized, and there's a certain presentation that tends to get missed.
Mm-hmm.
And very frequently, and this is sort of an ironic thing to say, it's in young white boys that it gets generally recognized, because if you've got one student who's daydreaming all the time and one student who's setting the classroom on fire, who's getting the attention? I was the daydreamer.
I'm glad you
I
were able
was
to
the awkward
clarify
one.
that.
No, I mean, it's so funny. I was so fastidious. I actually never once got in trouble in school except when I was 6 years old. And because I was so fastidious about following rules, as anecdotally, a lot of autistic folks I know, we follow rules because that's how we orient ourselves to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time I ever got in trouble in school was because I thought I was following the rules, and I was, as stated, but there were implicit messages that I missed.
That's where they get you.
The,
Those implicit
no,
messages.
so that I remember it very well because I was so confused. The teacher, the teacher asked a question and I answered,
Mm-hmm.
and the teacher said, "Okay, Raphael, cover your mouth and let's try that again. And cover your mouth and raise your hand and let's try it again." So she asked the same question, and covering my mouth and raising my hand, I was like, and she was like, "Go put your head down." I'm like, I. It was the only time I ever got in trouble at school. So nobody ever noticed how much I was struggling interpersonally. And you know, the truth is that, you know, I mentioned my father who was in Vietnam, and you know, there's a lot of struggles that he had that I watched him, and I still watch him try to manage. And actually, I, given how aggressively proactive he has been in trying to manage some of the issues that he knows can affect himself and other people, he's actually, you know, one of my heroes, to see him go forth day after day after day to try and better himself. But I struggled heavily at school interpersonally. I struggled in a lot of other ways. And I don't want kids to feel as isolated and as excluded and to grow up feeling as alone as I did. And so I thought I was going to go into working with small children.
Mm-hmm.
That was always my goal in psychology. And then I started working with small children and realized I was terrible at it. I was horrible at work. I love kids. Interacting with kids socially and doing clinical work with kids, different ball game. Totally different ball game. And I discovered I was really terrible at working with small kids because I'm so metacognitive, I'm so verbal, and kids aren't. And I have a hard time adjusting to that. And so I ended up working at a prison for my first internship rotation, and surprisingly I liked it. And I liked it so much that when I went for my final internship, I went back to the same prison. Mm-hmm. And spent nearly a grand total of 3 years working on every unit at that prison. I loved working with the guys there because, you know, this is a helping profession and you go where people want and need help. And if you are not familiar with it, due to, you know, defunding of residential mental health programs in the late 70s and the 80s in the United States, the prison system has become the de facto residential mental health treatment in the United States. And the guys, yeah, they wanted help. I loved working with them. The staff often bugged the hell out of me because of a lot of reasons, but complacency and engender, you know, perpetuating stereotypes about the guys. But I loved working with the guys there. And yeah, I just, you know, basically it's stereotypical, it's squishy, it's like a Hallmark greeting card, but I just wanted to help the world. I just, it's like playing golf. You're supposed to leave the course a little bit better than you found it, and that's all I ever wanted to do.
I mean, like you sort of allude to it being sort of sounding cliche, but like it's that kind of heart that I think helps bring the best work out of people. Like if you're passionate about it and you care about it, you're gonna really do something worthwhile.
Boy, do I care.
um,
Sometimes a little too much.
and I think that comes across, which I think is really nice. Like, you know, there's nothing worse than seeing someone who like does not give a crap about what they're doing. You know what I mean? I also like resonate with your story like a lot myself. Like, obviously, I'm with albinism. I'm visually impaired, so like there are certain parallels there. I think, and like I struggle with education and things like that. I conversely was in trouble a lot because I have a smart mouth and I'm not afraid to use it. So that got me in trouble quite a lot. Learning the "it's not what you say, it's how you say it" lesson took me far many more years than it should have. Because as comes across now, I say things in a very flat, very sort of as dry as burnt toast way, and apparently that can come across as sarcastic. which a lot of teachers don't
Oh
like.
yeah. There's the autism in me coming out as well, just being factual about things, and people like, are you being sarcastic? No, I really wasn't.
Yeah, like
Just
it's a fun time. People are fun to try and navigate with, right? Um, so question, and I find that I do flirt with all my guests a little bit on every episode, so I can only apologize for that. But you are known for your distinctive style. It's fair to say this. This is hallmark, Doctor B, right? Um, have you always had the style? Like I'm imagining like that six
oh.
year old like with a hat and beard, like
um okay, well, yes and no. Okay, so hats kind of came about because of my autism and not knowing I was autistic, because I have a lot of sensory sensitivities, and one of them is bright lights. I'm very, very sensitive to just sounds and sights. And okay, so there's a stereotype about Seattle that it rains here all the time, and that's sort of true, but
Mhm.
it doesn't rain here because we got like 12 names for rain. And anybody who lives in the UK will know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Like we've got drizzle, we've got sprinkle, we've got misting. It rains
You've got
very
that
rarely.
thin rain that really gets you wet through. Like
Oh yeah, no, the steady, really thin that's almost like knives or needles. Yeah,
yeah.
no. Um, especially when it's just warm enough to not snow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we had that 2 days ago here. But it's also overcast 200 days of the year here in Seattle. And what people who are not in really cloudy environments, they may not be aware of, is that while you can't directly see the sun, oftentimes those overcast skies act kind of like a diffusion, and it just becomes universally bright.
And if it's
And
been
so
raining a
when I
lot
would,
as well, like light reflects. That's a big problem I have
oh
being
yeah,
like
no, when it bounces
photophobic.
off the
Like
ground, yeah, 100%. And I didn't have the language to understand why I was squinting all the time as a 5-year-old. And so my parents gave me a baseball cap. I still remember it was a Detroit Tigers baseball cap. Why they gave me a Detroit Tigers baseball cap, I don't know. We were in Seattle. Um, but they gave me that, and I just ended up wearing it really low over my eyes so I could see. I could not have all that diffusion from overhead. And sometimes I'd wear sunglasses with it as well. And I didn't have any concept of fashion. I was just doing it for personal preferences.
I just happen to look really cool. It's a
No, I
byproduct.
did
Yeah.
not. I absolutely did not look cool. Like, oh my God, if you look at the way I dressed all the way through college, I did not look really cool. My ability to have any sort of fashion sense was the same trial and error process as me learning to socialize. Like it, it clicked somewhere in my late 20s where I was like, okay, I kind of have an idea of how to put some things together here. But yeah, and the sort of distinct look that I have in the game industry came out of this idea after I was hired at Take This, that the game industry is not known the game industry employers are not known for putting a ton of effort into their outward presentation.
Okay.
Okay. The joke at video game conventions and industry conventions is that the uniform is a comfortable pair of shoes, jeans, and your favorite funny game t-shirt,
Yep.
maybe a hoodie.
Yep.
And I wanted to stand out a little bit. So I started wearing vests and button-down shirts and a tie, neckties. Bow ties came later. Um, and people who didn't even remember what my name was remembered that I was the guy who wore nice shoes, still jeans, but nice shoes, a tie, and vests at video game conventions. And it got so associated with me that so associated that I think it was 2018 I went to a PAX West in what I lovingly call my civvies, my civilian
It's my
clothes, my
civilian clothes.
and I was wearing just what I would typically wear as Raphael, not Dr. B. And because I was wearing flannel and ivy, like a newsboy cap, and nobody recognized me. Just Converse flannel and an ivy cap, and nobody recognized me. I was like slipping through the crowd. Nobody stopped me. It was great. Um, it was so cool. It was so weird. I'd go to people I'd known for years and I'd say, "Hey, what's up?" And they're like, and I was like, "Raphael? Oh my God."
That is amazing. I one day hope to have that level of celebrity where I can do that. Like, I mean, so like my thing is like I'm the guy with the white hair and white beard. That's kind of my brand. Like, I will throw on a blazer.
I'm getting there.
Like, you gotta have that full plumage.
I'm getting there. It's in the last couple. COVID's been rough.
Yeah, true facts. True facts. So I love that there was like a genuine like background to the style. Like that was me just intending to flare, if I'm honest. Like, because you now have gone on record as saying, feel free to hit me up for style tips. I have a bow tie guy. I have a soap guy. Like,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
I just like meeting people. I like talking to people. And yes, I do have a bow tie guy. Shout out to Joseph, who runs Dapper on Arrival. He's done some great custom bow ties for me. And Will Carius, who runs Barrister and Man, probably the best shaving soaps I know.
Nice. I love good shaving soap. Love good soap.
Oh, and his fall line, that's his best stuff, because there's
use supporter code Dr. Business, like Dr. Business, like.
No, the only affiliate code I actually have is for Gurin Brothers hats, and I donate whatever I make to Take This, because I'm not a fashion influencer, so
that's up for debate. I think that's up for debate. Like,
not the way we think about that word influencer with a capital I.
okay.
People buy an occasional hat and there's like $10 in affiliate codes. I'm like, that's going to Take This. But yeah, if you go to gurinbrothers.com or gurin.com and use the code the Dr. B, all in capitals, I donate all my affiliate, payouts to Take This. So you get really killer hats and you support mental health in the process.
I don't like there's no greater win. Good hat, good mental health, easy money. Like,
oh, it's great.
I'm for it. So you mentioned that you do a lot of things in relation to being the clinical director at Take This. You recently, I'm going to say sadly, have been replaced on Take This Plays due to those work commitments.
I don't think that's unfortunate. I think that's wonderful that we have such a so when I started at Take This, I was the only psych person. Okay, I was it, and there was this element of prestige of being the psych person at Take This, as it's a growing organization, but it's also a really double-edged sword, because that meant I had to be the expert on everything, which is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot be an authoritative voice on every aspect of psychology. Anybody who's ever studied psychology would know you can't know everything. In fact, I used to have a supervisor who would joke that the whole purpose of grad school and then your subsequent career is to help you specialize to the point that you start to know more and more about less and less until you know everything about nothing.
Whoa. Wow. I wasn't ready for that. Oh no. I'm internally combusting. Like, oh no. That's a great turn of phrase.
But yeah, it's been really fortunate that over the now 7 years I've been with Take This, we've grown, and thankfully, because of the high quality work that we do, and we haven't grown as fast as other, not necessarily mental health, but other nonprofits have done, because when it comes to ethics and it comes to our reach and it comes to our scope, we tend to be really conservative, because we're really concerned about the potential impact and potential harm to the community. And so there's been a lot of opportunities that we've turned down over the years because it didn't meet our high bar of ethical standards.
Hold on. You're a charity that have ethical standards and actually operate with like some level of cognizance. Is that what you're telling me?
Almost at times almost an impairing level of cognizance.
That what get out of here with this level of logic and sensibility. What is do you know we're in a capitalist society, Dr. B?
I
Like
live in America, sir.
like
America.
you're meant to do everything for money and not worry about the scruples. Ethics
Yeah, that's
are
why I have student debt.
suggestions. I mean, that's what PsyD stands for, right? Psychology debt. Like
That's exactly right. Psychology
PhD
debt.
is
That's
pretty huge
perfect.
debt, like on my
Yeah.
side.
Mm-hmm. We ironically, PsyDs have more.
What? Oh no.
Oh, no. Actually, the average student debt, excuse me, not the average, the median student debt for a PsyD upon graduation is 200 grand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is.
Yeah.
That is. Yeah. We're gonna. I'm gonna. Let's.
We love what we do because we have to, because
Let's move swiftly back to take this place.
to take this. Well, yeah. So we over the years we ended up attracting, because of enthusiasm, because of passion, because of this love for the community, and because of a real, I think, dedication to doing it the right ethical way, which isn't always the exciting way. We've attracted truly world-class people, to the point that I'm only semi-joking when I say the people who are at Take This now are the source of my constant inferiority complex, because they're so brilliant.
But how does that work when you're one of those brilliant people?
I'll let you know if I ever think I am.
Oh, you got me there. Well, why don't you? Because you should. That's what I'm saying.
It's, I have a policy of trying to surround myself with people who I want to emulate, people who I admire, people who I think are just basically better than me at so many ways, because I want to be like them. And that ends up being a bit of a double-edged sword, because on one hand, there's always striving towards more, and on the other hand, it's very easy to get into cycles of self-doubt of like, oh God, why do they hang out with me?
Yeah, I mean that's not
Like, I'm not gonna. Okay, so when Dr. Rachel Cohort, who I think is one of the best researchers in the world, not being
legend.
hyperbolic, one of the best researchers in the world on the social effects of games. Um, when we met, I already had her books. I knew who she was, and I had to tamp down this fanboy reaction of like, oh my God, you're Dr. Rachel Cohen. Oh my God. And when she said the same to me, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, you're Dr. B. I'm like, I'm aware of that. What the hell are you talking about?
I mean, like you've kind of hit like the nail on the head of like why I have this podcast. I've been attacked. Oh no, I have no defense points. Because
and it's the same thing with Dr. Kelly Dunlap, who is our head of community. Dr. Dunlap is, again, probably, I think she is the most uniquely qualified person in the world to do what she does, because I can't think of anybody else in the world who got a PsyD, became a clinical psychologist, and also went back to school and got an additional master's degree in game design. She's a game dev and psychologist and a researcher on, mental health representation in games, ethical game design, how to maximize impact while minimizing harm on your players. No one else in the world is doing that. I mean, the truly world class. Cassie Walker, who is a relatively new person within the sort of orbit of Take This, they are so dedicated to the decolonializing of mental health practices, and they are. I every time I talk to them, I learn something new. And this applies to Dr. Sarah Hayes, who's one of our clinical contributors, to Brian Kundi, who's one of our workshop consultants and doing amazing LGBTQIA plus focus work in Texas, which, oh God,
Texas,
if you know anything
wow.
about US
Okay.
politics.
Yeah, that's bold. Yeah.
Yeah, we have just so many amazing, brilliant people within the bullpen, to use an American sports metaphor. Sorry.
Oh, enough
I don't
people will get that.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to think of but just enough people
in the
within our
squad.
roster.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the squad. Yeah, there we go. That it's just a constant source of amazement to me, especially, being the isolated kid who, the growing up the isolated kid, like, wow, they let me hang out with them. Oh my God.
There is definitely, I mean, Cassie, like they are very cool. They do some very very good stuff. They are also on the list for potential guests. Cassie,
Huh.
if you're watching, but like
Oh my.
there is a part of my brain that still struggles to process that I went to PAX East and just got to like hang out with Dr. Kelly, Dr. Rachel, Dr. Sarah, like, and we just had a fun time, and they seemed to
Yeah.
enjoy it, and like,
Well, you're
I'm like,
doing good work too. You
but
just,
like, and I'm just like, but these, like, I literally cite their work like all the time, like, and like you have gone on record as saying like, don't, they say don't meet your heroes, but you met Dr. Rachel. I've now met like yourself and Noah's as well. Like I'm taking them all off. I don't care. I'm gonna meet them all. No holds barred.
Well, I actually think so. For anybody who's listening, anybody who's watching, I be like Chris. All right.
Wait, what? No,
So here's what I
no,
mean.
don't do that. Don't be
No,
like
no, no,
me.
no. Go with me. Hang with me on
All right,
this.
okay.
All right. So they, I, there's a way to meet the people you admire without fawning over them. And it's cool to meet people who admire your work. It's off-putting to meet people who fawn.
Yeah, like
And
be cool for school. Parasocial relationships are a
Mhm.
thing, peeps. Like, with respect always. Like, like you don't have to like every single one of someone's tweets or reply to every single one of someone's tweets. You can just be like, hey, you really like what you're doing once, and like that's cool. That's
yeah,
gravy.
yep. And even if you do it a couple times, there's just a tone. There's a very big difference um between love what you do and notice me senpai.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's the difference.
And if you ever want to meet your heroes and you want to get to know them better, don't force it. Let it be organic. Um, Not everybody's gonna be friends with you, but just be cool.
I do. I realize this has become quite self-circular. But you said do be like me, and it was all kind of on accident and like all happened very quickly. But like
It was organic.
Twitter gone but not forgotten. Um, that's a political joke. We'll see if that still stands in like a month when this goes out. Um, but between like
I'll pour a
Twitter
Dr. Pepper out.
and like joining the Take This Discord and like the ambassador scheme, there was a rollout for that, and it started streaming. Like it
Mhm.
was kind of on accident. It just happened on
Mhm.
accident, and it in my case it kind of worked out. So that's a big win. Um,
Yeah.
I'm also just very very gobby. I just things, and people seem to go, yeah, it makes sense, and I'm like, yeah, I know, right? Like I chat mints as I call it, and some people seem to derive some sort of pleasure from that, and I don't question it.
Well, you know, that's something I've had to learn over the years. Like there are people who do work within any field and they do it for recognition. And then there are the people who get recognized because they're there to do the work.
So good.
And I am blessed to be and this is always a weird tension for me because I wasn't kidding when I said I was either going to become a psychologist or an actor. I love an audience. I love performing. I love getting to make people laugh. I love getting to make people applause. It's um paradoxically, it was growing up undiagnosed autistic, being on a stage was the only place I really ever felt like me. Because I could be whatever I wanted, and I understood the interaction between audience and performer. I didn't understand other social interactions, but I understood that one, and it was ironically the only place I really ever felt free. So I very much understand the idea of performative actions for recognition. Recognition is wonderful, but the people I really admire are the people who are getting the recognition because they're just doing the work. And that's it's just a constant reminder to me with the quality of people at Take This. They are just doing the flipping work.
Mm. Yeah. No, I resonate with
Be
that.
that person.
Be that person. Do it because you believe you should be doing it. Like, it's a
Yeah.
whole. There is, not to get too meta philosophical, but there is this kind of like this, what's it? Virtue signaling is like the phrase, right? Like, you do things performatively in order to garner sort of, particularly via social
Right.
media, like praise or response
Mm-hmm.
from that.
Yeah.
I'm like, if that's what you want to do, like, fair enough, but that's not my cup of
Cool.
tea. Like, I feel like it sounds like I'm just placating, but like, I genuinely believe that, like, I do stuff because it's what I want to do. It's what I believe I should be doing. That's what, like, you don't wake up one day and going, do you know what, like, I'm gonna do this PhD because I have a deep seated root for recognition. No, wait, no, that's accurate.
No,
Okay.
you don't. No, no. There may be some of those people in every PhD cohort, but they crash and burn real quick.
You do it because, like, I mean, I'm doing what I'm doing because I really care about it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm
Mm-hmm.
passionate. I want to try and produce
Mm-hmm.
good. You know, I mean, I've said it on this show before. Like, Take This is kind of doing the stuff that I want to be doing, which is why I'm involved. You know what I mean? Eyes on, purple person, like, hashtag purple person someday. Like,
For those of you who don't understand
that's a
what
really
that
insular
means,
joke.
go
Yeah,
go join the Take This Discord and you'll get it.
there'll be a link wherever you found this episode. Yeah. Yeah, that was like a really insular joke. I didn't realize that. But yeah, so
No, it's amazing.
you talk about audience, which again, I'm gonna plug this because it's funny. But Take This Plays was typically you and Dr. Kelly would get on, you would play
It
a
started
game,
out that way, yeah.
and you play a game about mental health, you dissect it a little bit, you'd put some psychoanalysis on it, really sort of
Not technically psychoanalysis. I don't do that.
technically, okay, you're right, psychology related analysis.
I'm a CBT guy. I don't do psychoanalysis.
Fair. Technical terms. We gotta get that stuff right. One of, I think, the peak moments has to have been the Dr. B blushometer playing Boyfriend Dungeon.
Oh God, Boyfriend Dungeon. Oh my God.
That top quality content.
Okay. Okay. So here's the deal. It's amazing how many people, I'm blushing already. It's amazing how many people you can fool into thinking you're not shy just by being loud.
Oh yeah.
And the people who I'm close to know how shy I actually am. And I, that was the Boyfriend Dungeon playthroughs was such an opportunity for them to leverage that knowledge of me and how shy I actually am into some hilarious content. Because if you've never played Boyfriend Dungeon by Kit Fox Games, it's really a great game. It's a dating sim as well as with elements of adventuring, similar to old school Legend of Zelda and
Bit like
that sort of thing.
isometric hack and slash kind of stuff, like the dungeon part
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. There's elements of all of this stuff rolled into a dating sim where the people that you date, because it's all point of view camera stuff, the people that you date have the ability to turn into anthropomorphized weapons that you then go into the dungeon and you hack and slash with.
And it
You
really is
pick,
just holding sword jokes, like.
yeah, so many. Oh my God. Oh my God, so many. And they that's where they took the opportunity to absolutely make me blush at every possible opportunity. And we definitely got up into the double digits with every episode.
It was premium content, and obviously now you've passed over. Take This Place is still a thing. Now passed over to
It is.
the wonderful Liz. One
Mm-hmm.
of the Take This mods. Big up to Liz. Does
Yep.
some great work. Big fan of mine,
Yeah.
so I'm more inclined to say that she does great stuff. Apparently, I'm the soundtrack she naps to. So I'll take that. That I haven't had higher praise than that. So.
Well, if my messages are the ones she falls, the ones she reads to be going. So it's we have that in common.
I mean,
So
if you're helping people sleep in this day and age, that's
it's Sleep is good.
Yeah.
Sleep is necessary for both cognitive and emotional regulation.
Oh yeah.
But
Was
yeah,
that some psychological advice there, Doctor B? Was that? Oh.
that was psychological education,
Oh, okay. So good.
because I'm not telling people what they should or should not do. I'm simply relaying generalized psychology information that sleep is a necessary component for cognitive and emotional regulation.
Or as we would say, spitting facts.
Yes. Yes, as the kids are saying these days.
Hello, fellow kids.
Hello, I almost did that for Halloween this year.
Nice. That would have been so
I
cool.
almost did that. I may do that next year. Get a skateboard, a red hoodie, and just hello, fellow children.
Yeah, I can see that. So we talked a lot about work there. I'm conscious of your time. I want to be respectful of that. And you do a lot of work, a lot of busy stuff. What do you do when you're not working? What do you do to chill out? Like what do you do for fun?
Okay, so I mean, I love spending time with friends, but of course, with COVID, my significant other and I, we have remained isolated. We have not really had in-person friend time. We haven't had people over at our house in a long time, and it sucks. But we're trying to be cognizant of the fact that COVID is still a thing. And
Spat facts. I mean, for those listening in the UK, this is contrary to what you might believe, but this is very true.
I mean, yeah, I mean the pandemic phase might technically be over, but from a purely technical perspective, but it's still very much a problem. And just given the emerging evidence about long COVID and the repercussions, I don't want to be I don't want that to affect me. I don't want that to affect my significant other, and I don't want to be responsible for affecting a lot of other people. So um I we tend to stay pretty isolated, at least physically. Uh, and so lots of certain video games, but also planning other projects because but I've mentioned this publicly before. My significant other's Jessica McCabe, how to ADHD, and we end up talking a lot of stuff about her YouTube channel. We talk about stuff for side
Oh,
projects. Was it?
Doctor B, I'm gonna have to interject there. That sounds like you're using your spare time as additional work time, which can lead to burnout, which we don't like.
We here's the thing. We also have very specific boundaries about the way we work, the way we talk about certain things, and when we don't talk about certain things. And we are both very passionate about the work we do. It makes us feel empowered. And we also have times when we don't do it, and very, very designated times where we are not talking about work, even side projects, even potential projects. One of the couples activities that we love to do is we play Raft, the video game Raft. She'll grab her laptop, I'll be on the PC, and I'll grab one of the beers I've made, and she'll hang out with her. Yeah, I've made beer for about 20 years.
We'll
I
come back
cook.
to that in a moment. Carry on.
Yeah, no, I've currently got a kegged beer from the hops that I grew this year. That it's an annual harvest thing. I throw the hops together, and it's a pretty reasonable session IPA. I don't usually like IPAs, but
When it's your
in this
own,
case,
you know.
what's that?
When it's your own, like.
I have to when it's the hops I grew, I have to do something. And also Jess does like IPAs, and so I started making one of them a recipe for one that I called Obligation IPA. So
Nice. Oh, it's so good. So good.
it's a double layered joke because every beer maker has to make an IPA, and also it was for the significant other. So
That is
um
so lit.
but yeah, that's one of the things we love to do. We'll play Raft, and we'll collaborate on that together for a couple hours while we order delivery, dim sum from a really great place here in Seattle. And I will cook. I love to cook. I love to make things around the house. Oh god, do I love to cook. And Jess loves the fact that I love to cook.
Yeah, I've noticed this. Like, if you say to people like, "Oh, like I really enjoy cooking," they're like, "Really? I would like to try this. I would like. What's your signature dish, and will you make it for me?
I don't.
Yes, of course. I'd love to do that. And that's how to get you.
I just it's so I grew up in a family that cooks. Everybody cooks in my family, and everybody cooks different things, but we just love to do it. It's creative, it's artistic. For me, it's meditative because you bet with as sharp as my knives are, you better believe I have to pay attention. And
Quasi forced mindfulness because I need to watch my knives.
and the hot pans and so forth. And I just love getting to experiment with different things. Lately, I've been getting more into like molecular gastronomy, which is pretentious as all get out, but it's really cool ways of making different things in kind of a sideways manner. Like I've been really big on like stabilized foams lately.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, they're
Are you friends with
okay.
Heston Blumenthal? Like,
Okay, no, this is okay. The people closest to me, the people very close to me call me Roth, just for short. And if you're familiar with the Italian dessert affogato, it's gelato with usually like vanilla gelato with a double shot of espresso poured over it. It's just wonderfully simple dessert. Well, I got creative with it and made raffogato.
oh, no.
Oh, it was so what I did was I took unflavored gelatin and a double shot of full strength espresso. Usually a more chocolatey roast because for this you don't want something that's really bright and citrusy.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a full strength caffeinated double shot espresso gelatin.
An espresso jelly shot.
Yeah, basically. And then what I did was, depending on who I'm making it for, I ended up with a stabilized vanilla rum cream.
Okay. All right. Now we're
So
talking.
it basically looks like a brown whipped cream on top, and then I'll take like chocolate shavings and throw it on top of there just for a little bit of flavor.
That's nice. I enjoy that. That's like really cool. That's like really really fancy. I love that. So okay, we got
I
some stuff going on there, like some science, right? It's funny that you touch on like cooking as like creative because I think there's a way for it to be viewed as you're just following a recipe. It's science, like this much fat, this much liquid, this much dry. But like the passion you can kind of put into that, like
Mhm.
is the bit that really makes it exciting. Like I love like cooking as well and like baking a little bit, but like I just love kind of like getting in the kitchen and sticking some music on or an audiobook and just getting in there and
Yep.
just having a
Yep.
great time.
Yeah, the guy who was, I was previously married, and the guy who was my best man at my wedding, he was a professional chef for about a decade now. He's a butcher, and when he and I get together, it's just let's throw on some Beatles, let's
Ah, my boys, the
let's
Beatles.
hang out in the kitchen, let's argue about what the best Beatles album is, and he's wrong.
I mean, you can now go on record on this episode as definitely saying the best Beatle album is.
Well, okay. So it's funny. What he thinks the best Beatles album and the second best Beatles album are are for the exact same reason. I think his second best is the best, and so for me, the best Beatles album is the White Album
Mm-hmm.
because it showcases all of their individual talents as songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
And the second best is Abbey Road because it's amazing, more cohesive whole, although their individual talents are less showcased, I think. And he would say he would reverse it for the exact same reason because Abbey Road's a more cohesive whole.
It's interesting. That's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
the Beatles, Liverpool's own. So love the
Wait, are
Beatles.
you from England?
Yes. All right, lad. How's it going? I'm from Liverpool. We're gonna play. We're gonna play some music. This one's called Imagine.
At this point, how many Americans do you talk to try and pull off some sort of UK accent?
Not many. Like again, it's kind of happened with a lot of the Take This folks. But like, I've been like, "Do you all know a Scouse
God.
accent?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. Good. You probably don't want to try it, to be fair, because it's pretty unique. Like, with the joke is that like Scouse people should come with subtitles because they're that hard to understand. Like, if it's very very thick dialect.
See, a friend of mine who moved over to the UK is dating a Geordie guy, and
From
has
Newcastle, yeah,
said the same thing.
they also have a very distinctive accent. Our brothers from the northeast coast, the Geordies love them. Okay, Mario is very enthusiastically barking at the moment, so I apologize about that.
What you've got a pet named Mario?
Yep, after the plumber. Come on, go say hi.
That was the name of my first pet.
No way, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get you. It's Thursday evening when we're recording this, so he's very excited. There we go. I'm gonna say hello, bud. There we go.
Oh, what's up, Mario?
Occasionally features on stream as well. He'll come and
yeah.
He just wants some attention. To be fair, I've been grading papers all day.
Oh my god, I've been watching so much Letterkenny lately that every time you've now said "to be fair" twice, and I've had to stifle the "to be fair."
To be fair.
To be fair.
What? Like, wait, we're doing a podcast. This isn't just this is divulged into just a random bit of chit chat, which I like.
Yeah, it's a podcast.
I'm sure people want to hear something else. So you mentioned you play games. That's good when you work in games. I can see the Death Squared like deck behind you. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
We love
that. One of only 10 that were made.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
You also mentioned, correct me if this is wrong, Champions of Psychology with Idle Champions, which is for those that don't know, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, the show I do is Champions of Psychology, and I'm one of the 3 co-hosts with Mitra Jordan, who is a clinical practitioner in Victoria in British Columbia in Canada, and Trevor Bettis, who is a serial podcast hoster. He has so many I can't remember them all. And this is because of Champions of Psychology is sponsored in part by Idle Champions and Codename Entertainment. Idle Champions is actually become appropriately one of my favorite games to play because I'm a legitimate fanboy for Idle Champions, which is really convenient given they've been longtime sponsors and supporters of Take This. They actually sponsored the AFK room for years before. Sorry, Eric, their CEO. Sorry, before I actually played Idle Champions. But I started playing it, and it's really fun for me because there's pattern recognition and there's strategy, and the best part is I can pick it up and put it down. I can play for like 5-6 minutes and then put it down for a while and then come back to it.
It is an idle game by name.
Yeah, it is an idle game. And I just love that game.
And obviously, for those that don't know, it is a Dungeons and Dragons spin-off.
Yes. It is a direct licensee of Dungeons and Dragons, and they bring in a lot of the franchise characters that you would know, like Boo and Minsk are very, very much part of it. But they also have this amazing habit of bringing in characters from popular actual plays. Like, actually, they're running an event. They ran an event in November where they brought in the final. What was that?
I know. I think I know what you're gonna say. Keep going. It's all right. I was just getting excited. Nice.
They've got characters from Acquisitions Inc. They've got characters from, oh gosh, who else? Like Lauren Urban character. Oh god, or Kira. I was like, she's gonna yell at me. It's one of my favorite characters too. I always have Orkira in my lineup. But the Black Dice Society characters are in there, and just a bunch of characters from popular actual plays.
It's really cool. Like, and I feel like I don't play it. I'll be honest. Mostly because I did try once on my phone, and it was all just a bit too small for me, and that's it.
I have to do it on my iPad.
That's an in part of me problem. Totally respect that.
Oh no, I mean the font is like as big on phone, but on iPad it's very different.
That's fine. But like, yeah, I feel like I know a few people like just from the Twitter space, like they're like Tiny
Hmm.
Depressed, Cypher of Tier. There's like
Yep.
she's had people in there and like be Dave
Hmm.
Walters and stuff like all those
Yeah,
sorts of
the
people.
Black Dice Society folks, the
Yeah,
that's rival Cipher of Tier, Rivals of Waterdeep. Solis is a great tanking champion in that game.
I'm pretty sure Jen Kretschmer, who's also been on the show by the way, I'm pretty sure she has had something featured in there as well. I don't know.
Oh, is
Um,
one of her characters in there? Oh my god, that's awesome. I'm not sure I've unlocked them.
I'm not sure. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'd have to ask. But like, there, I know. So I don't play a lot of TTRPG stuff. But I look at it very lovingly, like insert heart eyes emoji. Like I follow all these people on Twitter, and I'm like, you guys are amazing. And just really like enjoy that like content, despite being slightly removed from it. But yeah, you also do like D&D TTRPG stuff, right?
Yeah, that's sort of also an interesting twist of my career that I am an expert on the applied use of tabletop RPGs in clinical and learning things. And along with Dr. Megan Connell, who has a really cool book that's coming out next year.
I'm very
And
excited for this.
yeah, so am I. I can't wait to see what she wrote. That she and I ended up co-developing a theoretical model for applied tabletop RPGs, and we've taught it to, for continuing education, workshops for the American Psychological Association, continuing ed stuff. And I also, end up collaborating and consulting formally and informally, sometimes with the folks over at Game to Grow, Adam and Adam, and both Doctors Kilmer at Game to Grow, and about their applied tabletop RPG stuff, and occasionally the Bodana Group in Pennsylvania in the United States. And it's, God, I never thought that D&D would be a tax write-off for me because it's a legitimate business expense.
Nice. I mean,
Okay, hold on. So, okay, this is funny. The first workshop that Dr. Connell and I were creating, we had to do appropriate research, and I saw on eBay some for sale an original copy of the 1974 release of original Dungeons and Dragons, all 3 volumes of it. And I was like, it's kind of expensive. And I sent an email to my accountant, and I said, is this a legitimate tax write-off if I were to purchase this? And she asked me, why do you need these copies? And when there's copies available of the current edition, I was like, okay, but we're looking back like 45 years, and the rules have changed, and also they're a reflection of kind of the zeitgeist of the gaming community at the time. She was like, I'm gonna stop you there. You just justified it.
that's amazing.
so so I ended up, dropping like $400 on original, copies of, and they're in really good shape. Now that I have PDF files, I may just get them graded and hung in my office or something.
Right.
But yeah, I never thought D&D would be a tax write-off.
That is amazing.
It's a
Uh,
legit business expense.
yeah, that is so cool. I have to say, I am like, I don't, I still don't know quite how it happened, but I ended up featuring on a Be Never Ending podcast. They do great stuff. Check them out. Big fans. With Adam Johns, Dr. Jared Kilmer, and Dr. Megan Connell, and I was just like, we're gonna talk about TTRPGs and mental health, and I was like, hello, I played D&D once, and these people are experts. Hi, let's talk about it. That was
I think I remember seeing the tweets for that, and I was like, that's a good crew.
I don't know, maybe they got the wrong like Chris, I don't know, but I was like, I turned up and I said words, and I didn't worry about it any more than that. Like, we just went for it. That was a good time, good stuff. So out
Well,
of
they're a
interest,
good
then,
group.
my sort of one of my questions I like to ask for people like in the space is, when you're working with games and you're doing all this all the time and you're featuring on podcasts and stuff, do you find much time to actually enjoy that? Like, do you still get time to like play D&D, or do you like listen to podcasts or just play Like you mentioned, you play Raf, but do you get to play anything else as well?
Sometimes you know, I haven't played an in-person game of D&D in years because of the pandemic. And unfortunately, um due to my sensory sensitivities with my autism and some with my ADHD, I have a hard time DMing online. In fact, I tried a couple times for my For Funsies group, my personal group, which is mostly actors and they are chaotic as all get out. It they I still feel badly about this because I ended up getting so cranky with them. I got angry and it felt like me chastising them to try and get them to not talk while I'm trying to talk, because the way my auditory processing works is that in person I can ignore certain side chatter, but when it comes to online calls, even a little bit of crosstalk has the same salience in my ear monitors as anything else, and I couldn't filter it out. And so I had to stop running. It wasn't fair to them that for me to get cranky like that. I just couldn't do it, and it was just a limitation I had, and it wasn't fair to them. I would love to get back to playing D&D in person. I really, really would. If we can get the pandemic numbers down a little bit more, I would love to take a chance and do that. But otherwise, I love playing single player games that I don't have to schedule other people for.
Nice,
I play whenever Destiny has single player content come out. I'm there for it.
nice.
I think it's the only first person shooter I really enjoy. Uh,
Wait, you mean you don't
Other than
enjoy
that, it's
Halo? Like,
I did. You know what? I never really got. I was never really into Halo. And and this is going to sound weird and maybe a little pretentious, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it's the truth. Um, I I was super into paintball when
mhm.
Halo came out, like super into paintball, and I couldn't get the fine motor controls enough for me to be competitive at all at Halo, and it just ended up being this really punishing experience. And especially with if you're ever playing with randos or some LAN party, and it tells you how old I am,
The
that
good old days.
it, yeah, where I didn't know somebody particularly well and they started just acting like a jerk. It wasn't fun for me. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, you know what? You did this in a video game. Let's go to the paintball field. Let's see how the tables turn. All right. We can take
That's
this
the
out into the real
ultimate.
world
Let's
where
take
there's
it
actual
outside.
running.
Like, that's
Yeah, no,
amazing.
this basically it was the first person shooter version of we can take this outside if you want.
That is so. That's such a good shout. Like, all right, mate. Let's take this to the paintball field.
Yeah, no, let's see if you can do that to me when you're actually running.
I'm now picturing you like going like like that scene from Rambo where the guy is like walking through the forest and he just
Oh,
appears out from the shrubbery.
you're
Like,
not okay, and I feel badly, but you're not entirely wrong. I actually feel bad. No, it's like I okay, if you talk to any of the people I used to play with, and I'm already blushing because I'm so embarrassed about this, but there was like this switch that happened once I got on the paintball field. And oh God, no, I feel so bad about some. I got so aggressive, like as calm and nice and kind as I try and be in the rest of my life. It's like all of that got released all the other stuff got released on the paintball field. And yeah, I, I was, yeah, I
nice.
feel
That
bad
is
about
so
it.
cool. Like, I feel like you have to have like an outlet for that, right? And I think as you've seen from previous episodes of the show, I'm sure. This whole like sometimes you just want to play a violent video game to shoot stuff and feel better about it. Sometimes just destroying stuff is nice. It's soothing. And that's a
I used
good
to play Worms Armageddon for that reason.
it's a good outlet because it harms no one. There we go. Safe way of
Exactly.
doing it. But I had like I'm gonna say transformation. Let's make it sound like Dragon Ball Z. I would do like a similar transformation when I got on like the soccer/football field. Like
Yeah.
I'd be like, right, I'm a really aggressive, strong left back now. I'm gonna shout at everyone. If you are not where you need to be, I'm gonna drag you to the place you should be. Um, I'm gonna tackle people. I'm gonna like, you got a striker trying to back
Yeah.
into me. I'm gonna like elbow them a little bit.
Oh.
I'm gonna let them know I'm there. Like dynamo, good stuff.
Yeah, no, and my father was also an opera singer, and I inherited his ability to project.
Nice.
And yeah, you can. I was the one shouting at everybody on the field as I was letting out an absolute volley of paint. Because I'm really big. I'm really really big. I'm almost for those of you who use measurement systems that make sense, I'm almost 2 meters tall. I'm about 100 kilos, and I'm not small. And so my job wasn't to be all sneaky on the paintball field. My job was to keep heads down by just releasing hellfire. And I got pretty good at it. And
Okay.
there were rules about what's called overshooting on the paintball field. And because if as soon as you see somebody get hit, you stop shooting. And okay, cool, I did. But the problem is, by the time I saw you get hit, I was, at one point firing about 15, 16 shots a second. And that was on semi-auto because I tuned my paintball markers down to like literal mouse clicks. And
I was
it
like,
wasn't
yeah,
that
they'd get hit once, so you would stop pulling the trigger. But
right,
15
but
were
there's
already on the
15
way.
other shots already on the way. And so every time I'm with the same group of people and they get down, we're go at a new field, and the ref is like, okay, no overshooting. And every time all of their heads turn to me, and I'm like, what? I stop. And just
Dr. B,
I
this
felt
is this is great. This is amazing. Have you ever jumped through the air firing two guns at once?
no, it's not practical
Okay.
because one, it's not as accurate, and two, I can't fire as quickly.
I love
Have I ever jumped through the air whilst firing one rapidly at someone? Yeah.
Nice. They're in a cheeky Hot Fuzz reference, and you're like, well, actually, it's not. I cannot destroy enough people doing that, so it's not practical. So actually,
it
we do it this way.
we did it. We did. There was okay. So there's different ways of playing paintball, and I haven't done this in almost a decade now. But it'd be really interesting to go out there in my 40s and see if I can still move at all.
Oh, you'd be able to move. It'd be the next like week that you'd have a problem.
Oh yeah, no. It's going to be interesting to try, and part of me is kind of tempted to. But the
Take this
we
paintball.
often went
Just
to the
saying.
same paintball field over and over again, to the point, and we'd rent the private field because we wanted to bring in people and make sure they had a good time, and we could split up the teams evenly so it wasn't just like a couple people just destroying all the noobs, because that's no fun for anybody. And if you did walk on play, that was sometimes the attitude, kind of like PvP and Destiny. And we got the refs got to trust us, and we ran safe games and so forth, and we would come up with our own variations of games. And one of them that we came up with was called Hunt the Jedi, where two
Okay.
people who were very brave individuals, we would just give them toy lightsabers. They did not get a paintball marker, and the idea was to get the Jedi to the other side of the field. And because they're Jedi, headshots only count. That was the only way to take them out. And if they tapped you with the lightsaber, you were out. And I remember a buddy of mine who, thankfully, he was wearing padding. He just popped out of nowhere and started rushing towards me, covering his face so I couldn't. And he swiped at me. And I still can't believe I did this. Neither can he. I ended up dodging underneath the lightsaber blade, rolling out of the way, and just pop up his back till I finally got him. One of the coolest things I ever did. It was so action movie, and I had a witness, and I will never do anything that cool again.
That is actually amazing. I am here for all of this energy.
I'm a little embarrassed how much rage comes out of me when I do that stuff.
I am here for it. I love to see it. Again, I am conscious of time. I have a couple more questions. Let's do those. So obviously we mentioned Take This is 10-year anniversary was November. Obviously this is going out after that. It's currently November. Can you talk about how brilliant and wonderful all those anniversary events were, and all the things that have been done.
Well, all the stuff that's been done, and I think we're probably going to be continuing the celebrations in one form or another throughout the entire year of our 10th
Let's go.
year being around.
That's my type of party, a year-long party. I'm here for that.
And we did a really wonderful live play with all of the Take This Plays crew, Dr. Sarah Hayes, Liz, Dr. Kelly Dunlap, and Cassie Walker came in to lead us through a wonderful game of good, I think it's Good Strong Hands, which was a really interesting, like, fairy tale, never-ending story type vibe.
I may have like destroyed my sleep cycle for the week, staying up just to like troll in the chat for like an hour. It was totally worth it.
It was wonderful to have you there. It was a nice celebration of the organization of the community and so forth. Where we've had we've done now these profile pictures, social infographics for a lot of our psych staff, because just to celebrate the idea that, one, I'm no longer the only psych person here, but two, all of the people involved at Take This who are psychologically trained do amazing cool things outside of Take This. And we want to highlight the diversity of experience and expertise that people bring in to make this hodgepodge stone soup that is Take This.
Like, I don't know, say, dashing white-haired PhD researchers that also stream, host a podcast, and are on, the streaming ambassador roster list and the community review board.
Well, you're one of the people who just bring in an incredible level of diversity and expertise of perspective, of experience, of
because I'm Scouse.
Identity. What's that?
Because I'm Scouse.
Well, that diversity of experience and identity and expertise lends to the wholeness of what we do, because no creative endeavor, no creative organization, no one in a creative space can continue to succeed while remaining the same. And creativity is divergent thinking. You need new ideas, and that comes from differences.
Oh, I love I fawned over you a little bit in this episode. I'm not gonna lie. I've liked a lot of what you've said. I feel I've had some good laughs and we've agreed on a lot of stuff. But like, I have physically said this to so many people. Like, I work a lot in equality, diversity, and inclusion (EDI), and I'm like, because if you have people from different perspectives and backgrounds, that will create creative change, because it's those different perspectives. Like, you just said it, you can't have change if everything just stays the same. And that, like, the epitome of progress is about developing with the changing needs and dynamics.
Right.
My favorite quote from June, the fourth one, God Emperor. I'm gonna butcher the actual quote, so I'm ad-libbing. But it's like, the problem with human politics is a fixation with things being better at a particular point in the past when they were never even that way. It's just that, well, it was better in my day, kind of shaking fist at cloud kind of thing. And it's like this attempt to recapture that, very political, because the whole series is basically sci-fi politics, right?
Wait, you're telling me Dune has political overtones?
I know. Some people might miss that. It's very subtle. A whole like Messiah and like whole I mean, the second book is called Dune Messiah. Like, people miss that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
we blow minds on this podcast.
I guess I didn't see that with warring political factions, this feudal factions, and God Emperor.
Scarcity,
Yeah. Definitely not a metaphor for, resource scarcity.
No, definitely not. Don't worry. It's just spice. It's all good stuff. But like, that's one of my favorite quotes, and it just like, I always like to rhyme that with a Bob Dylan quote that is
the times they are a changing.
Not that individual one. What is it? Steal a little and they throw you in jail. Steal a lot and they make you king. Patriotism is the last refuge to which the scoundrel clings. It might be two separate quotes that
Mm-hmm.
I've merged together in my brain, but I like it.
Yeah.
And it's like in this defense of patriotism in finger quotes, like whatever that means, this ideology, like that's like if that's like the only defense that you have, you know, and that's often used against equality, diversity, and inclusion. This kind of like, well, it's not the way it was kind of attitude. It all kind of melds a little bit.
Well,
I
and
dislike that.
that's interestingly enough, it's a sense of patriotism, if we want to go there, that drives a lot of what I do. Because, and this is where I find a distinction between patriotism and nationalism.
Okay.
Patriotism acknowledges the potential of what something could be, while also acknowledging how it doesn't live up to those standards and working collaboratively to try and put it in that direction. Nationalism holds to a static ideal that will never occur and often excludes people in the process.
I like this is like this episode is absolute dynamite. This is amazing. I so just to piggyback on that a little bit more, like one of the things I always cite, and I'm pretty sure I've said it on the show before, but like in Liverpool we have this identity, like we are in England, not of it. You know, like we're Scouse,
Mm-hmm.
not English. We like in
Mm-hmm.
Liverpool, you're Scouse before anything else. Don't care about
Mm-hmm.
anything else. Where you're from, who you love, or whatever. We don't care because you're Scouse first, and that's why you're
Mm-hmm.
part of our community. Like, and we embrace all the other stuff. We don't like, you know, if you're happy to be part of the city, you're treated with respect. Nothing else matters. You know what I mean? Like we respect it, we admire it, we love it, we celebrate it. But like that's where the bar is. You know what I mean? You're Scouse first or honorary Scouse. People can be that. It's all good. Um, and that's the kind of like the community feel that I feel like I've said feel a lot. We're talking about feelings. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just therapize myself mid episode. Yeah. Oh, pardon me. I'm on like the back end of freshers flu because I teach undergraduates.
Yeah.
Um, but like it's that type of ideology. It's like everyone is welcome because that builds a better city, right? Like that's the type of thing that I think takes a lot of things forward and is again the center point, the ethos of like to take this community.
Well, the community is the center point. It always has been. Because I mean, unfortunately, the our origin story at Take This is not a happy one. Like a lot of origin stories are sad.
Hmm.
And there's something that occurs that motivates people to take action. And certainly it was for our founders. And we talk about this periodically that 10 years ago, 10 years ago, and actually 12 days, well, 12 days from the time we recorded this, I should say.
Yeah.
Um,
Jeremy, bury me, baby. It's all good.
Jeremy Bearimy, yeah. Oh God, let's talk about a series that made me cry. Oh my God. Um, there was a game journalist named Matt Hughes who no one knew was struggling with depression as much as he was, and he took his own life. It's I won't get into the details behind it because it might be triggering to people, but he ended up taking his own life, and that ended up for some of his colleagues being just this precipitating factor in saying, "Oh my God, we didn't know. We need to do something about this because other people might be struggling too." And because they were gamers, I mean, Dr. Mark Klein, my predecessor, was one of our three founders, and thankfully he's still on our board helping us with things and guiding where we go. Community was the focus. Community remains the focus, and that's where my jam is. I want people to feel a place where they can belong, where they can feel safe, and not in a politically weaponized, oh, it's all huggy feeling, nothing ever bad happens kind of safe, because I've got words to say on that, but because safety doesn't mean that. Safety in a psychological sense is a perception that even through unpleasantness, you feel supported and included, that you're not going to be retaliated against for speaking up about something. for addressing a problem in the system or saying, hey, we need to be better about this. That's psychological safety. If you perceive that you can do that without repercussion and they will have your back. And we want a community where people can feel like they belong, because over and over and over again in psychological research, the sense of inclusion, the sense of belonging, the sense of community, that is one of the number one most preventative factors in long-term impairment when it comes to mental health challenges. It's also one of the most prominent and universal factors in building mental health resilience, is basically believing you're not alone, which feeds into what our original slogan was: it's dangerous to go alone.
Sorry, I take a minute there, because just like the way you spoke about that was incredibly emotive and well delivered. I'll just give a slight plug as well. If you do want to know a little bit more about Take This's origin story, pick up Joe Donnelly's Checkpoint. Very good book. A journalist who wrote about games and mental health. But there is an interview with Yves Trebuchet, one of the big cheese of Take This. Awesome.
Our executive director.
Also on the bucket list for the show. Just saying, Eve, if you listen. And like it's very well detailed there, very well covered. Obviously with the appropriate sort of nuance and warnings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Always recommend that book for those interested. I also like Joe. I think he's very cool. Anywho, again, very conscious of time, especially because we did have an accidental false start. So my last couple of questions are designed to be fun. Let's have some fun. I've had plenty of fun this entire time. Yeah, let's make sure you get to have some fun.
We're doing fun now. All right.
Worked. Oh, here we go. He's whipped the tiara out. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I got the tiara out now.
Now it's party time.
Okay, it's fun time.
It is nearly the weekend. Let's go. Blue sky question. One of my favorite ones. You have unlimited access to resources, expertise, people, anything you want. What project are you going to do?
I still work at Take This.
Yes.
I love it too much.
Okay.
I love it too much. It's just going to be better funded.
We'll just hire more staff.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, a lot of the projects we've wanted to do, we haven't been able to do because we're a nonprofit, and you get by with less money. You try and do more with less in a nonprofit setting. And there's so many educational resources we want to make for free that either we don't have the expertise in-house right now, or we just don't have the money to pay somebody to help us with, that we would love to do. I would love to fund more original research, specifically in the game community and in the game industry. I would love to bring on more media production so we could get out really high quality educational content on mental health with a lot more rapidity than we currently can. We've had projects that keep getting pushed back by more emergent matters. That, God, I think one of them I've been working on for like a year, and I haven't been able to finish it because there's an emergency that comes up. And we just don't have the people to delegate everything to. So I don't think I have any pie in the sky sort of things. I think it would just be do what we already want to do, but do more of it.
I mean, if I was going to plug myself, it sounds like you need a research assistant and maybe a stream manager.
We need money is what we need.
Yeah, money for.
Everybody asks. People are like, "How can I help Take This? I want to volunteer. I want to." Well, the thing is, we don't have money to have a volunteer coordinator. Mm. If it sounds cliche, but it's true. If you want to help Take This's mission, go to takethis.org. Give $1, give £1, give whatever you can, because truly, and this is where I'm going to sound like an American public broadcasting fundraiser, with viewers like you, every dollar brings the content that you want to see.
Oh, that
and it's true.
That's so good. No,
we did in fact have tote bags as giveaways at one point.
That is, it's a solid, honest answer. I respect that. You can also pick up some sweet Take This merch. You can see my Psychomancer at the top of my shot. You can see Dr. B's Psychomancer as
Oh,
well.
the Psychomancer plushies don't exist anymore.
Yes, I've got a limited edition.
Yeah, they were truly limited edition.
Shields of Hope is another good one.
Oh yeah.
Shields of You can get a Shield of Faith pin as well.
Yeah, that's Beetle and Grimm's, great partners of ours that make the Shield of Faith. Actually, I may tell you the story at some point, meeting Matt Lillard and how that came about. But the shield of the Hope shields that our friends at Wormwood Gaming make, they've been now almost 6-year partners of, actually almost 7-year partners of ours, and yeah, that partnership started 6 months after I did, and they've been doing that for us for a while, and they're just wonderful.
Correlation
wonderful
and causation. I think so, sir. That's a science joke.
No, I wish I could take credit. That actually, oh God, there's an embarrassing story about that, about the day I realized that I was in the industry and behind the curtain and could no longer talk like I was just somebody at my friendly local game store.
I think like I remember you have told me this story, like I think separately. I remember hearing it. Like yeah.
Yeah.
I am conscious of time though. This is a question that I think you'd like to sink your teeth into. And it's going to be a tricky one for you, so I apologize. But one of the things I like about this show, and I aim to do with sort of the ethos is talk about people do things, but also I like to give people the room to give a shout out to someone who inspires them, who encourages them, because I think we talk about recognition. It's so lovely to receive recognition. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to? You can do like a collective. Like I expect you to just go to Take This staff, but is there anyone that you'd like to give a specific little like thank you shout out to?
I mean, I've mentioned so many already. I've mentioned the Game to Grow crew. I've mentioned so many folks at Take This. We've mentioned Eve Crevichet. One person who doesn't get enough recognition, though, at Take This is our operations director, Katrina Keller, who likes being behind the scenes. She likes being, as she jokes, in the shadow. But Take This doesn't operate without her. She is the backbone of Take This. Beyond that, just a shout out to all the people who have supported Take This's mission over the years. Like I said, Wormwood Gaming, Beetle and Grimm's, Idle Champions. We've been lucky enough to get a grant from Riot. They support some of the content that we're bringing out. Ubisoft last year towards some projects that were slowly coming together. But also I got to give, I've mentioned her already, but I love her to death, and I got to give Jessica McCabe a How to ADHD. There are very few people who both inspire and push me the way she does, because I'm in awe of getting to see how she works on a day-to-day basis, and God, I wish I could be like her.
That's so sweet. Oh my goodness. Emotions on the podcast. Wow. Damn, that's a good answer. Okay. Right, levity. Let's go out with a bang. Okay. You are going on a retreat of your choice to a biodome of your choice, because I certainly wouldn't choose a tropical island. Not for me. I respect those that enjoy it. A biodome of your choice, and you're allowed to take with you the following: a book, a film, an album, and a video game. You are allowed to take things if they are in a collection, such as the Complete Works of Shakespeare or a full box set. Whatever equipment you need to play or read or whatever will work unconditionally. There's unlimited power, whatever. What are you taking with you?
Complete Discworld collection.
Nice.
For books. All 41. I so much of the way I am in the world is inspired by Sir Terry Pratchett, including my anger, my very under the surface anger at injustice in the world and the unfairness of so much, and also the power of belief in dragging us forward to, having a better tomorrow. Because like in the Hogfather, humans aren't humans without belief. And album, I mean, if it's an album and not a complete collection, it's the White Album by the Beatles.
Nice.
Just straight up. And otherwise it's a complete Beatles collection.
I mean, not physically, like it physically exists, you could have it. You could just have a complete Beatles collection.
Well, I mean, if we're doing that, I'm just bringing my hard drive. I'm just bringing my entire hard drive, because I got so much music on my hard drive. I don't even know what I have. One video game, Skyrim.
Nice.
Hands down, Skyrim. And I swear, this playthrough, I will not be a sneaky archer. I have said that in the past, but this time I'm going to be a battle mage.
I'll believe it when I see it, mate. Okay, I'll believe it when I see it.
One film. Oh, that one. Get Moonstruck.
I love the way you're like, this is tough. No, here we go.
Moonstruck.
Okay, nice.
Moonstruck may be the one film that I can watch ad nauseum and not get sick of. If you haven't seen it, it is unironically, I mean this, it's some of Cher's best work. It is some of Nicolas Cage's best work. Olympia Dukakis was flippin' brilliant in that movie. Same thing with Danny Aiello and Vincent Garrett. I think it was Vincent Caradelli who was the father. It's just, it's amazing. That whole movie. It's from 1986. If you haven't seen it, yeah, go do it.
Amazing. That, like, those are pretty confident choices. They usually catch a lot of people out. Everyone kind of freaks out and are like, "Oh goodness, what am I gonna pick?" The last question I have for you is, do you have any questions for me? I like to turn tables upon myself and ask my guests if they have something to ask. I've been asked the desert island question. I've been asked about what work I'm doing, so I would recommend avoiding those for listeners' sake, because they'll hear me say the same crap more than they already do.
What's your dissertation on?
Oh, see? Oh, God. He had to go there. He had to go there. Is that actually the question? You're actually asking about my thesis?
Yeah, no, I'm really curious.
Okay.
What is your dissertation?
So the broad, sweeping kind of idea on the thesis is, if we look at a specific subgenre of video games relating to mental health, but really informed and destigmatized depictions of mental health, what happens to people when they play those? Because there's very little research that examines it. Particularly the student population, so people at university or college, where they've made such a big life transition. The student population, unfortunately, are very vulnerable to mental health challenges and experience a lot of challenges, like I did myself at university, which kind of informed it. To build into that, I'm very frequently citing Dr. Kelly and Dr. Coates.
As you should. Who are incidentally texting me right now.
I mixed first and second names there. Dr. Dunlap, Dr. Coates. With their 3D model of representations of mental health.
Yes.
If you're talking about, well, the games that have good depictions, what does a good depiction look like? And that model is very handy to apply that. Perhaps say, like, look at video games to break down what is a 3D game, because the model only got published. I mean, I read it earlier. It only got published this year. When you know the author, it only got published this year. But so, like, there's not like a if you're a researcher and you want to pick a game that has good mental health representations that isn't Hellblade, here's a list. That's like a good maybe piece of research to include in one's thesis. And then the other side of that, like, there's actually, like, okay, the content of the game, does that have an impact on a person? And then, because I'm a scientist, what happens if the game plays with you? Like, the actual gaming mechanics, the procedural rhetoric, as we would call it in industry. Like, if the game gives you certain information or doesn't, does that have an effect? We don't know. Procedural rhetoric in psychology is still pretty new. I'm going to say this wrong, but Bogart or Bogost came up with the concept, I think, like, in like the 70s or 80s. But Barrett B. Anderson kind of like actually did some research to validate it, like, as a psychological construct in psychology research. Again, citing, I'm going to cite Jamie Madigan, Psychology Against podcast, where I found about this. I was like, this is good.
His writing is so good.
I'm going to research this. So thanks to him. And yeah, I'm in the process of doing the science. I've probably got like 18 months left. We're trying the thing. We're going to try our best and see what happens. And you know what? If we we might not find any results. No results are a thing in psychology. I'm also not a super great scientist, and PhDs are horrifically underfunded. Spoiler alert. But I'm trying. I think the way I kind of look at it is that the work I'm doing is kind of writing my own postdoc check, because even if I don't necessarily get like a big enough sample size or something like this, like, this is the way research can be done in an honest, open, sciencey, transparent way.
Yes.
Which would, And I'm doing like a little bit of mixed methods because I want to be really employable at Take This. I mean, at a potential organization that would look for a research assistant. It's banter. It's all good. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing in like a nutshell.
That's awesome.
And the last thing is, where can people find you? Obviously on the video, your Twitter is on the screen, but where's the best place for people to catch you, follow your impeccable style, witty banter, and informative mental health educational content?
Well, I mean, the important thing is follow Take This. TakeThis.org is the website. Take This org on all of the socials. They're really the important accounts to follow. If you for inexplicably want to follow my meanderings on socials, I'm pretty much the Dr. B everywhere.
If I wasn't already sold, I would be sold based on this episode. So I don't know why anyone else wouldn't be. If you're part of the pod.
Yeah, no, you can get it. You can get an
Wouldn't be.
absolutely randomized sampling of Dungeons and Dragons memes, cocktail recipes, hat photos, and occasional autism and ADHD rants.
I enjoy it. I would call it top quality. With that, unless there's anything else you'd like to add, I always like to give the opportunity. We will wrap up this episode. We will wrap up season 2. Holy crap!
Yeah,
2 whole seasons of this podcast that started as essentially a meme tweet. I at least hold myself to my own word for reasons unbeknownst to me. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this season. I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have. I can announce we're going to be back for season 3. It's already in the works. I'm already planning it.
Yeah,
I've already got some guests lined up. It's going to be pretty cool. So there's that to look forward to in the new year. Should the world still exist, who knows? That's a cynical joke. I apologize. But yeah, all that remains for me to do on our video is just move over to the stream ending screen and say thank you for watching. Goodbye. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye.
Thanks, everybody.